And we are live. Hello, everyone. This is My Two Cents, and welcome to the July monthly Patrons Hangout. As I do every month, I host at least one stream where it's just a chill stream and an opportunity for those that help make this channel possible to chat about whatever's on their minds. And as always, a big shout out to all my patrons. With YouTube cracking down on independent content creators, it is becoming increasingly more difficult to make content and to get it spread out there. You guys absolutely make this possible. So thank you so much to you. We're joined right now by Scorch88, Mag, and Heartless Soy Boy. I did tweet out the link. We'll see how many people join in. And yeah, I put it to you guys. Whatever y'all want to talk about, be it serious, not serious, or just plain weird. We've covered them all on my streams before.
Well,
How are you going to start transitioning from YouTube to BitChute or BitTubers or whatever the heck you're now using?
Well, the transition's already done in as much as BitChute already mirrors all my content. BitTubers is the new website that's taking over BitTube. I know everyone has bit.tube was the website that was setting itself up to be a crypto-fueled alternative to YouTube. That the makers of that site have announced they are closing that site, and it is all migrating to BitTubers. I will go ahead and actually, this is a good opportunity. I will post the link to my BitTubers profile. I've not yet figured out how to upload videos there. They said there was supposed to be a way to migrate your actual BitTube page, but in the meantime, it's kind of they're making it to try to be a cross between Facebook and YouTube. It'll be for posts, it'll be for videos. All in all, looks like, and you'll earn cryptocurrency just by watching videos, and you can then send that cryptocurrency to your favorite creators. So looks like it is going to be a pretty good alternative.
Yeah.
Yay! I was mostly asking, like, are you going to do exclusive videos on there or no?
Yeah, so I will be doing exclusive. At least I will try to do at least a few exclusive videos once BitTubers becomes, at least once I figure out how to upload videos there.
And unlike what happened last time, one thing I just want to say is, unlike with BitChute, is it BitChute or BitTube? Yeah, BitTube.
BitChute is the first. BitChute came first.
Thank you. That one didn't have an app. BitTubers does.
Yes,
so
BitTubers does have an app.
So yeah, speaking, all of you that didn't like that he was doing exclusive ones because because it didn't have an app. This one does. So you're welcome.
No one, thank you. I intend to keep up the good work. Don't worry. No matter what YouTube does, they will not silence me.
Yay!
Speaking of crypto, Trump tweeted about cryptocurrency, saying he doesn't like Bitcoin.
Yes, and I tweeted back, as did a number of other prominent YouTubers like Liberty Doll, Peter Schiff. I hesitate to call him a YouTuber because he's a lot more than just a YouTuber. But yeah, it's funny because Trump is showing yet again his true colors. He is a statist, and it's no surprise that he doesn't like Bitcoin. No one within the state likes Bitcoin because it is a direct threat to the state's power. Can't be traced, can't be taxed. So of course they don't like it.
Yeah, the funny thing is that in 2011, one of his tweets, he said he was speaking negatively about the Federal Reserve, that the Federal Reserve needed to stop lowering interest rates than their market counterparts, and it needed to stop creating inflation.
Yes, and now he's calling for the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Honestly, be that surprised though.
It feels like every time when someone associates with the state, they drop all of their principles.
Exactly, and that's why I've come to believe that voting is never going to be an engine by which you're going to change anything. I used to be of the opinion that libertarians should try to elect Libertarian Party candidates or libertarian-leaning Republicans. What I've found history shows is when those people get elected, they suddenly lose their principles. And I think it's because, the Fed and these other deep state entities that are behind elected officials have too much power. And no matter how principled you are, when you get in that position, you either lose your principles or they force you out.
Yeah, I was about to say, maybe they wouldn't fully change to themselves, but then they kind of just become like a puppet. They're not all their core values that they've had before is, if you don't like with the way we want, I'm going to stream you and go, nope, talk the way we want.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely, says Cyberpunk Agarist, and he is absolutely right.
I've watched your video, The Road to Anarcho-Capitalism. Wasn't that before you were aware of agorism?
That is pre-agorism for me, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't... It's been a while. I don't believe I talked specifically about elections in that one. My focus were getting kids out of public schools, and getting people to see that the government is inherently unjust, even if we never abolish it. Which I still believe in. I would say even if you never successfully dismantle the state, getting more people to see that it is inherently unjust is an admirable goal, and it's the only way you're ever going to dismantle the state is by getting a majority of people to see that the state is inherently unjust.
Yeah, that's one of the stages of agorism, stage 0. Basically, we need to educate people that the state is it's immoral and unethical and needs to be abolished.
My question is, when do we go from the stage of just educating to start actually doing I shouldn't say not just doing action, but basically, like for example, with taxation, we all preach that we don't like taxation, whatever not. But when's going to come to the point where we all agree that we're not going to pay it? Because if everyone stopped paying it, it would make a much bigger message than just like 2 to 3 guys not doing it.
Well, yes, and I think the point Mag raises is if everyone simultaneously decided not to pay their taxes,
or just a large amount. I'm not saying everyone.
A large enough amount, the state would realize it didn't have the power to continue funding itself. And in that respect, the greatest threat to the state is always its own people, which is why the state always works to disarm its people, to keep them in government schools that totally indoctrinate them into believing the state is God. They try to shut down any media or independent creators that speak against the state. We see all this happening and the reason for it is because the state knows that the greatest threat to it is its people. But at the same time, if only one person decides not to pay their taxes, they're just going to get thrown in prison and forgotten. And how does that help abolish the state? I mean, I would say it would have to be, I don't think just choosing not to pay taxes is going to be the engine by which the state collapses. Yeah, I agree. I agree your example, but I think cryptocurrency kind of was one of the final nails in the coffin. In that, as people start trading and more people start trading in cryptocurrency, because it's anonymous and untaxable, and as more and more people start doing it, the state's revenue will start to shrink, and eventually it'll just collapse under its own weight.
Mm-hmm. No.
No, I'm not saying, I'm not predicting that that's exactly how it's going to happen. But if you see how this, like between Donald Trump, members at the Fed, these other powerfully placed governments around the world, you can see that there is a unified voice about the evils of cryptocurrency. And that tells you just how scared they are of it. But countries like China and Russia have already outlawed it and discovered, I mean, big whoop. You can outlaw it all you want, but you can't stop it.
Yeah. And I'm actually okay with if the U.S. outlaws crypto, because it doesn't really do anything. It just makes the demand for crypto to skyrocket, so more people get invested in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also say that you're basically advertising it to people who wouldn't know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And
once you outlaw something, you inevitably create a black market for it. And in the case of crypto, it's unique in the regard that, the black markets of the past, you were always buying and selling something physical that you actually had to meet with someone at a pre-planned location and make your exchange. With crypto and internet-based sales, that's no longer the case.
Yeah. And I just got to say this as a joke. The one time that we could talk about any topic, we still talk about political. Or anti-government, etc., etc.
Well, I like to follow in the tradition that these monthly streams, we start with the serious stuff and end on the lighthearted notes.
Yay!
Mm-hmm.
Ow.
Now, if I'm going to bring this up quickly, just because I know this isn't 2 Day with 2 cents because of the monthly patrons hangout, we won't be doing 2 Day with 2 cents. But I can't bear but to resist all the talk that happened this week about Megan Rapinoe and the U.S. Women's World Cup team, how women's soccer deserves to be paid as much as men's soccer. Well, I put out a Twitter poll. I put out a Twitter poll this week. I'm sure many of you saw it. If you don't yet follow me on Twitter, please do @_my2_cents_. But the Twitter poll I asked was for anyone, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, what do you find more entertainment out of watching on TV or attending? Would you rather attend a women's sporting event or a beauty pageant? And 78% to 22%, 78% of people said they'd rather go to a beauty pageant.
As a girl, I would rather do that. And I don't even like beauty pageants. I'm just going to be honest. I don't even like beauty pageants. But I would rather do that than just watch a girls' soccer game, to be honest. As a girl, I'm going boo to all those people that are saying that.
Okay, and just to make sure the people in the chat know it to be a fact, A/VMU. Yes, this is really live. I can see you in the comment chat. This is not a real upload of a live Hangout.
What?
Mhm.
Why
I knew
would
if I didn't say that,
so
you couldn't
confused.
necessarily convince that person. So, yeah, but a number of people have already pointed out the fact men's sports gross a lot more income than women's sports. So it's really not that surprising that women get paid less in sports. It is a product of supply and demand. By the same token, more people, I'm pretty sure more people are paying to see women's beauty pageants than they are male beauty pageants. Because let's face it, the female body is a lot prettier than the male body.
I would disagree.
Well, Mag, you're entitled to your opinion.
Disagree with that.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Anyway,
Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I would say even across men and women, I've still found plenty of straight women are willing to admit that the female body is prettier. But
I like both, so meh.
all right. I'm a straight man, so you can guess where I am. And if you've watched my channel at all, I'm guessing you can see where I stand on that.
Which, okay, I gotta ask. I remember one time we were on the stream and someone said like I can't remember exactly what he said, but basically someone in the stream, like one of us like that was like hosting the stream or whatever not, they basically called you gay on the stream and we all just laughed and I was like, what the
I believe that was Hoplu. It was an edition of Cool Capitalist Kids hosted on my channel. Hoplu said that and then logged off.
what was that? I was so confused. You're like, you're the most straightest guy, even among straight guys. You're the most straightest guy I know.
Well, Hoplu is entitled to his own opinion. And for the record, I don't hate Hoplu. He's made some pretty good videos. He's a great animator, so by all means, check out his channel.
Also, there have been immigration. There have been people protesting around America, to stop separating children from their parents, in the southern border.
Yeah, even though they're obeying a policy that was put in place during the Obama administration.
It was actually the policy actually goes back to the 1980s, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't. I've kind of grown bored with that topic because it's all everyone talks about. But from what I'm reading, I mean, essentially, the border policy we have now builds up historically is building up. But the point that needs to be made is everything that's happening is almost identical to what was happening under the Obama administration. It's only when Trump is in office that suddenly, oh, this is so unjust, oh, horrible, horrible.
Yeah, it just seems. It feels like this is just propaganda from the state to scare people to like voting.
Yes, and what's ridiculous is neither party cares about. For all everyone's saying about how we need to care about the people at the border, neither side actually cares about those people. The Democrats want open borders because they want to immigrate, thousands of or even millions of a new voter base. They're basically saying, come here and we'll give you all the free stuff you could ever want. I mean, just look at the Democratic national debates. They were asked, how many of you support comprehensive health care for undocumented immigrants? And every single person raised their hands. So it's no surprise that if you're living in a poor country in Central America and there are Democratic politicians saying, hey, come to the US and we'll give you all the free stuff you could ever want. Well, golly, a lot of people are going to come.
Yeah, did you see AOC crying?
Yeah, yes. The thing, she crying in front of an empty parking lot. She didn't even. There was the only thing behind her in that image was a couple border patrol agents and their patrol vehicles. It was a
Oh, she
completely
also
staged photo op.
she also cried again. I believe it was I believe Stefan Mullen who tweeted out. There was this Hispanic woman crying, telling her story about her child being separated, and Miss Ocasio Cortez was crying in the room.
Hmm.
I
Meanwhile, people
just
on the Republican side of the aisle are saying, well, we've got to keep these people out because we got to stop terrorists. We got to protect American jobs. And all the while ignoring the fact that if you just had voluntary immigration with no welfare state, people are crossing an imaginary line on the southern border because they want to come to the United States to get a job and work and contribute. No one is harmed aside from if illegal immigrants come across, or if immigrants come across the border and commit crimes, then deal with them like anyone else. But all the so-called immigration problems are problems that begin and end with the state. So
I
Mhm.
something I kind of feel like I need to point out, or this is something I kind of thought of, is one of the reasons why like transportation and immigrate. I don't know really for immigration, but I know it could probably be a factor in it. Is after like with 9/11, everyone was like super scared and whatever not, and a lot of things changed. And I think that has something to do with it. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Esoteric the Free just said, fun fact, the majority of illegal immigrants get work visas, then simply overstay their visa. And yes, I do know that is a fact.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as I've said before, when it comes to the issue of immigration, I'd say, so yes, restricting immigration is unethical. Stealing people's money and redistributing it through welfare programs is also unethical. Assuming we can only put an end to one of them, put an end to welfare and first, then put an end to immigration restrictions. Because if you put an end to immigration restrictions while you still have an expansive welfare state, you have a massive incentive for millions of people to just flood over and try to start collecting welfare. But nonetheless, it remains unethical to stop somebody from wanting to move from here to there voluntarily.
And stop the forward wars in the Middle East that is that is making immigrants from there to come to the U.S.
Mm-hmm. Esoteric also says, in other words, stricter immigration laws literally can't prevent people from traveling.
I would say it would prevent good people from coming because people are with all things legal, with all things illegal, bad people are still gonna get through. They're gonna find a way. What it makes it so you make so good people who are hardworking that would want to come, but you make it illegal for them can't to come, they won't come.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what you're saying there is the only people who follow the law are law-abiding citizens. Criminals, by definition, disobey the law.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the best examples, the way I like to put it, is imagine somebody moving from, within the United States, there are no border walls between Nevada and California. You within the United States, you can cross those borders freely. But if somebody wants to move from Arkansas to Tennessee, or pick any two states, what have you, if they just pick up and move there without doing any research about trying to find a job or a place to live or anything, they do so at their own risk. You can move from point A to point B, but you're not guaranteed a job, guaranteed a place to live. If you move from point A to point B, you have to be prepared to do those things and not expect anyone to give it to you. On the other hand, if the government of one state promises tons of free stuff to anybody who moves there, it's not surprising then that a mass of people flood there who wouldn't otherwise do so, who are just seeking to move for economic reasons.
Mm.
All right, but I think we've hammered that one pretty hard on both now and in past streams.
To be honest with this entire subject, I feel like it's just kind of like with a lot of things that are just told a lot in the media. I feel like it's a cover up at this point.
Well, yes, what's so frustrating about it is the so-called immigration problems are caused by the state. The Democrats have their narrative, the Republicans have their narratives, and everyone is oblivious to the fact that there would be no problem if there was no government.
Also, did you 2 cents? Did you see that video where PragerU had Tucker Carlson?
Oh, Tucker Carlson, it's about power.
Oh yeah, that one, and they referenced Paul Krugman.
I face palmed when I watched that video. I was like, Tucker is citing Paul Krugman to support border restrictions.
Yeah,
I mean, I've said in the past, I used to like Tucker Carlson. In some regards, he was. I remember when the U.S. conducted missile strikes against Syria because Assad allegedly gassed coalition troops. Tucker was one of the only newscasters I saw that actually questioned whether or not Assad did it because it didn't make any sense. Nonetheless, everyone calls Carlson a right-wing commentator. If you look at his politics, Tucker Carlson is at best center-left, and I say at best. If Esso is still in the chat, he recently made a video about Tucker and pointed that out.
Yeah,
So,
Tucker to me, he seems like a neo-mercantilist at best. That's what he is.
Well, he's definitely a protectionist. He's a Luddite in that he wants to outlaw self-driving cars and everything. I wrote an article which I later made into a video about that.
And that libertarians, the deep state is a group of libertarians trying to control the world.
Yeah, talk about projection there.
And Republicans don't want to help American workers because they might violate some Austrian principle.
Yeah. Talk about ultimate facepalm. Yeah. I no longer have any respect for Tucker Carlson, but whatever. He's entitled to his opinion, as is everybody else.
I never watched him anyway.
I don't know if there's anybody on Fox News that's worth... Actually, I take that back. I will watch Tomi Lahren. I hit the mute button and watch her program.
I miss John Stossel when he was on Fox News.
Okay. I did. I've watched John Stossel's got some good YouTube content. I haven't really seen him on Fox lately.
Oh no, because he left the program.
Yeah.
I believe a few years ago. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know he left. No.
I would too.
John Stossel would help me on my path to libertarianism because I didn't even know it existed until I saw his show one day randomly.
Randomly.
Yeah, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning.
The best things in life come at 2 a.m.
Well, can't argue with that. That turns out to be true sometimes. Unfortunately, it's happening less and less with the YouTube's cracking down on suggested videos.
Oh yeah, so.
I mean, I can't fathom it, but when looking on YouTube now, when I look at my suggested videos, it's almost all CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. It's like never anything you actually want to watch. Independent content creators have all but disappeared. And even when you type in the search bar, you have to look really hard, like 6 pages beyond, to find anything that's not cable news or...
Yeah. I can click on one of their videos by accident, leave, go back to the home page, and I'll see like 5 of them in my suggestion page.
Yep.
But then I'll watch yours, and it'll take like 3 videos in a row for you to see even 1.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, I'm just going to put this out there. Esso is in the chat. He just asked if he can come on the stream. I'm going to put it to you guys. This is a patrons hangout, so it is exclusively for patrons. But since it is for you guys, if you want him to come on, I'm willing to do that.
Sure.
I'm gonna
Sure.
say
Okay.
this,
all right, Esso, hang on a second. I will send you the link via Discord.
I would say yes, but no offense. Can we not have him control and be the only one talking?
Yeah,
I think that's
a
a
lot.
pattern.
All right.
I like his videos.
Oh, I do too. Did you hear what I said, 2 cents?
Yes, I heard you don't want him controlling the
Okay.
conversation. So, I mean, I'm going to put it this. At first I heard yes. Now I hear some possible
No,
resistance.
I don't mind him being on here. It's just I've seen him be the only one talking.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
I don't mind it though. He's cool.
okay.
Yeah, he's
Well.
cool. It's just that sometimes his rambling is sometimes annoying.
He goes
All right,
on
well-
for like
I think that
5
shows
minutes
to
straight.
everyone though.
No offense. I like your videos. So it's just sometimes your rambling is. Ugh.
All right. Well, so I did send you the link. You can come on, but as I've said before, this is for the patrons. So if they decide later they don't want you on anymore, I will have to kick you off. But you're welcome to join. Welcome to Esoteric the Free.
Hey, yeah. So
Hello.
I'm not gonna try and dominate the conversation. I do ramble quite a bit, and it's mainly because I start getting into these deeply nuanced topics. So I'm sorry about that.
It's
All right.
understandable.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
it's like when I start talking about, for instance, my post-structuralist criticism of the media, that's from not just a different point of view, but a different framework of how I'm actually looking at it from how most other people would look at how the media presents information. So there's a lot to go over there, and yeah, so I tend to talk a lot, trying to explain all that at once.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's understandable. We're not blaming you.
Okay. I'm going to quick answer a question in the chat. Prod by Kid Ali asks if I'm Canadian. No, I'm not.
But
so.
Anyway, I've just been, shilling like crazy for this new essay that I've got coming up. It's a detailed criticism of the current libertarian strategy of organizing and trying to message.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that ought to be interesting, and I have some high hopes for this essay. It's probably going to be multiple parts, but yeah, while I was out of town for like the last week and a half ago, I don't know, but it just a series of like realizations hit me all at once that sort of showed me that libertarians, at least in the mainstream, like how libertarian political organizations and how libertarians trying to associate with like party politics, they're approaching it all wrong.
Interesting. Well,
Libertarianism has a series of incredibly strong advantages over just about every other political affiliation from a pragmatic point of view, which they can't utilize because they attempt to do this.
well, I'm just gonna state this. One thing I always look forward to is that I don't know if I'd say this is a joke or not. Your videos are always the most factual things. Like if anyone wants to see, like you want to look for sources and knowledge and you want info, go to ESO because my God, that's just facts everywhere. And I'm saying that in a good way.
Thanks.
Also, are you going to be criticizing the Iran Institute? Because I've kind of grown a hatred for that institute.
I may do a video about objectivism separately, but no, when I'm talking about mainstream libertarian political organizations, I'm referring to like the Libertarian Party or FEE or Reason or the Cato Institute, etc.
Don't we not associate ourselves with them?
I thought FEE was filled with anarcho-capitalists.
The Cato Institute, not so much, but the others, yeah, they present some good information, and I see a lot of the more individualist anarchists sharing them around.
Yeah.
Don't we not associate ourselves with libertarians? Like we're our own, a little bit of our own separate thing in that.
Well, the Libertarian Party, I think I have personally met very few libertarians who want to associate with the Libertarian Party. That could just be me, but even where I live, there's the closest affiliate for the Libertarian Party is really far away.
Well, even the ones that don't necessarily want to associate with the Libertarian Party, there is this sort of strong inclination towards the framework that we need to work within the state, or the state can be, utilized to achieve our end goals via like accelerationism or collapsitarianism.
I've met
Which
like
we did a stream about that on my channel a while back, which I thought was pretty good.
I've met like one person in like real life, and he was like my best friend in high school. But like the thing with him is that he's a libertarian, but I wouldn't call him quite an ANCAP. But awesome guy though, he's fun as hell.
Well, another thing, and this is why it's probably my point is probably going to be widely controversial, but a point, something that I was going to bring up actually is one of the major problems which libertarianism has is that it attempts to libertarians attempt to advertise libertarianism as if it complements other people's political allegiances instead of trying to define it as a separate allegiance entirely. Like, for example, the whole branding of libertarianism as fiscal conservatism but social liberalism is a blatant example of this. Well,
I've met people who say they're libertarian, but who explain it as physical conservatism and socialism.
Or just the idea that liberalism and libertarianism are sort of interchangeable concepts, or the idea that libertarians have it in their interest to associate with Republicans.
Yeah, one common thing I've heard is like one of my favorite bloggers, for instance. Not to say I agree with everything he says, but I think he's got a lot of good content. Says he's economically libertarian and socially conservative.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing that I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem that arises, there are actually two problems that presents from both a standpoint of principle and a standpoint of how libertarianism is actually applied to the politosphere, to politics. The problem with it principally is that by associating with and attempting to appeal to the interests of attempting to work with these other political organizations and these groups of people who seek to utilize coercion to impose certain policies onto other people and to disadvantage them, libertarianism ends up losing its principled stance against political authority, or it has to sacrifice it in the process. Now, on the pragmatic front, there are two problems that this creates. Firstly, and this is the big one, libertarianism, because it does not actually have a monopoly on arbitration, and because libertarianism, it is a society of free association where everyone associates for mutually beneficial exchanges, which are of course going to be set by each individual. Libertarianism is capable of appealing to everyone's economic interests simultaneously while remaining 100% philosophically consistent. And that's an advantage which libertarians can't utilize by trying to associate with groups like the Republicans or the liberals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Scorch, I haven't heard anything from you in a while.
Okay.
I think she was just saying, Scorch, are you still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, apparently there was a huge black outage in Manhattan.
A blackout, you mean?
Yeah, blackout.
Okay,
Okay.
I didn't hear anything. Just now, or
Yeah, just now. But I believe it was like about 1 hour ago or 2 hours ago. Yeah, 2 hours ago.
here, hang on. I'm pulling up some. Oh, in the dark, transformer fire knocks out power. Thousands in Manhattan, halting subways and snarling traffic.
Yeah, that sucks.
But yeah, I came to that realization while I was simply thinking about how people identify with politics and what actually motivates people to be political. And what I realized while I was actually, looking, making some observations is another crucial point, which is that information is completely meaningless unless what's important is the framework by which people actually interpret information. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how many times you point out that the state is going to be coercive, going to be inefficient. If the individual in question operates within the relative framework that the state exists to function with their interests in mind, or exists to function like is more in their interests than free association, then they're either going to completely blow off the information, they'll dismiss it through cognitive dissonance, or they'll misinterpret it.
That's why when I don't want to say the word converting, but basically when you're talking about your arguments and you want to basically, I'm going to say the word convert, I'm sorry, convert them to who not agree with the state, it's kind of in stages. You don't want to just throw them all into the deep end because they're not going to like it.
Well, no, it's entirely possible to actually approach somebody and convince them that the state doesn't function in their interests, but libertarians are doing this all wrong. Instead of pointing out how the free market and how competition naturally decentralizes, leads to more prosperity, or really cringy, like libertarians seem to almost completely, a lot of libertarians like Larkin Rose and people like him particularly seem to completely disregard the pragmatic argument entirely, and they seem to think that the ethical argument is interchangeable with the pragmatic argument. Well, that is a big mistake. Because no matter how many times you explain that the state is an aggressor, or how wealthy they could be without the state coercing them, uh, they're not going to internalize that, or they're going to think that there's a way that they can work around that within the state. What libertarians need to be doing is deconstructing the framework, which is very intentionally built by government education and the media, that political allegiances are just the concept of a political allegiance in general, and the idea that the state operates within their interests.
What I would say about that, when you say that and you mention Larkin Rose, what comes to mind is a debate on open borders that took place between Larkin Rose and Lauren Southern.
Yeah, that was actually one of the main things which sort of opened me up to this point of view. Like, what made me realize this was watching that debate.
Okay. Because I think Lauren really did hammer him on saying your view is not pragmatic, and Larkin's only response over and over was, "It doesn't matter, it's ethical."
And that's exactly what I mean. He has, and that's sort of the point of my essay, and as I've sort of demonstrated a bit earlier in this call, libertarians and the free market perspective, there is absolutely no reason why they should be disregarding the pragmatic argument, because libertarians have a more pragmatic argument than pretty much every other political allegiance combined. There's name another political allegiance which is capable of appealing to every economic interest.
None, because they, of course, every other economic interest. And actually, that's my video I'll be releasing tomorrow. Covers that in some regard. That basically you either support voluntary free interactions that are mutually beneficial to all parties involved, or you support the use of force to benefit some at the expense of others. It's only a question of who is being being coerced and to benefit whom.
Yeah, I don't know when the first part of my essay will be up, but yeah, the first part is it's going to be about Konkin's class argument and explaining the state's hegemonic interests in great detail.
All right.
Mhm.
Well, awesome. We will all be looking forward to that SO. I'm just going to let everybody know we are at there are 20 minutes left on the stream per the usual. At this point, I usually let us start drifting from our some of the serious stuff into more just kind of hanging out, fun stuff. But I'll put it back to the patrons. Whatever you guys want to talk about.
Yeah, I was just
So
about to
when's
make
the
a comment on
next
that.
Pokemon video?
When is my next Pokemon video? Okay, well, for those of you who follow my gaming channel, which is very limited, I think I have something like 86 subscribers. But my 2 cents gaming, until Pokemon Sword and Shield comes out, I will not probably be too intense on that. I did download an emulator for Pokemon Silver version that's in my free time. Hopefully this week I will start streaming, and that will get that channel up and going again. Just for hangout purposes. If you here, I will pull up the link to my gaming channel and put that in the chat here for anybody who is interested.
I also would like if one day you could do other games, so you don't have to just play the one game then wait for the next one to come out. That would be fun to still watch that.
Would you play Windslayer when we've got the private server loaded up?
Oh,
Not familiar with that. I'm not opposed to it either.
It's
I would
an
play it.
yeah, it's an old MMO which went offline in like 2011, and I've been working on creating a private server for it in the last couple of months.
Okay, yeah, I'd be willing to do that.
well, wasn't one of your problems is you want to mostly do streaming on your Switch, right? If I remember correctly.
Are you talking to SO or me?
You want to do mostly the stuff for your gaming channel on your Switch?
Okay, yeah, well, yes, I have a Switch, but
I could be wrong on that statement. I just when we were talking, when I was talking before when you wanted different games and I was suggesting what's on Steam, you kept talking about your Switch and your Switch and your Switch.
well, yes, and I would have to get more PC games, but my point was I had just gotten the video card in order to stream on my Switch, so.
Also, New Zealand gun owners hand in weapons for buyback scheme in Christchurch.
Oh yeah, I guess it's been a while now since that happened, but
Yeah, they're giving their guns now for some cash.
that whole thing was like, how can anyone explain how a government went so fast to complete and total confiscation apart from the whole thing was staged?
Yeah, I was surprised because when they like in a few hours they say, yeah, guns are banned. Yeah, give us your guns, or we will shoot you and kill you or put you in a cage.
Well, also, did you see recently that it's like the FBI released some affidavit about 4chan and like posts made on 4chan, and their paper that they published contains a screenshot from one of the message boards with their poster ID, but yeah, they accidentally left this in, or they didn't realize that when they screenshotted it, like it still said you on their like when you post something on 4chan, you know how it'll say you if it's your post.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the FBI screenshots had that in it, the you. So my theory and what I was saying about the Christchurch shooting is basically confirmed, because if you look up like the post ID that FBI agent was posting under, that's exactly what they were doing. They were going around trying to radicalize people and encourage them to engage in shootings.
Yeah.
So that the government can then retroactively claim we have to confiscate everyone's guns, or else this kind of thing is going to keep happening.
Yeah.
Again, who's surprised?
Yeah, I mean, in the shooter's in his little manifesto, he said that taxation is theft, but even though he's a eco-fascist who believes in the state.
Like, the manifesto was all over the place. It mentioned so many things that they were obviously trying to throw under the bus, but
And it was,
there was no.
Yeah, and it was written in American English.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And wasn't there another shooter who had a manifesto similar to that, the Christchurch shooter? I saw it on Discord before I deleted my account. I can't remember.
I'm not sure that the guy the synagogue shooter might have had a manifesto. It's been a while since that one too, but.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's all those people. There's all those Marxists trying to take that video I made and attack me for it. Well, I was right. So I mean, an apology would be nice, but I don't expect one.
Yeah. When you published that video, it was I saw it on Twitter being shared on Twitter.
Yeah,
by
it's
some
on
big
BitChute.
Yeah, I saw it being shared by some big YouTubers who had like 200,000 subs or more than that. And yeah, it was funny.
Is your video with the collab you did with Filthy about the Christchurch shooter, is that still on YouTube, or?
No, it got falsely flagged down.
Yeah, I figured it would.
So it's on BitChute now.
Yeah, it was exploding in views. It had like 10K.
Why am I not surprised?
Well, the problem with going viral is that that can happen.
Also, is there sources for the Christchurch shooting like on your collab video with Filthy under the description on BitChute?
Should be.
Okay, because all right, that's good.
Cyberpunk Agarist, to answer your question, do I play any games besides Pokemon? Halo, but other than that, that's always been kind of my the two games I've played without Fable, Halo, Pokemon have probably been the game series that I've followed pretty loyally. Have I played other games? Sure, I played Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty.
Weren't you trying to do Smash?
Yes, I did play Smash for a little while. I ended up never streaming because I just suck too bad at it, and I can't dedicate the time to getting good at it.
Same. I can't.
Another thing about that manifesto that he said that that the reason why he doesn't like conservatism because it's corporatism, but even though fascism is basically corporatism, it's just totalitarian, like more authoritarian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite part is that he says all this stuff about his ideology, and then he claims that Candace Owens is the one who radicalized him.
And didn't he say his favorite country was the People's Republic of China? I'm pretty sure he said that. Yeah. But yeah, nothing. That manifesto was just all over the place.
It was a ton of incoherent ideology meant to throw a bunch of other individual ideology / persons and commentators under the bus.
Yeah, he also said that he was a libertarian. Then he became first he said he was an anarcho-communist, then a libertarian, then an alt-right, and then an eco-fascist.
Well, one thing I will say, and I think Shane Killian made a video about this recently about the so-called libertarian to alt-right pipeline, but I've seen a lot of similar talk in the media about how becoming a libertarian naturally will lead you to become a Nazi or some other form of fashion.
I've seen the articles I've seen that that libertarianism leads you to become a Nazi. They mainly cite
Yeah.
Hobbes's work, like Hoppians. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing with that manifesto. The main thing, just aside from all the inconsistencies, which really stood out to me, were the narratives. The narratives that it was sort of trying to convey in how he was describing his political transformation to the sort of framework he was trying to express. It played right into the sort of state's narrative of, well, there being an increasing amount of terrorism, and this terrorism coming from moderate sources, and people being radicalized through social media, and the state having to take control of the internet. And it's I could tell right there it was bullshit.
Yeah, and the same can be said with a lot of news stories since. There was the New York Times, the making of a YouTube radical. And as I've said before, the irony is the political left is crying out the state needs to take control of the internet because there's too much hate speech and violence on the internet. The political right is saying the state needs to take control of the internet because these big tech companies have too much power and they're silencing the certain political opinions. And what no one seems like, well, aside from myself, SO, and some others, what no one really seems to be talking about is, do you not see that people on the political left and the political right are both crying out in unison for more state control of the internet? Sure, they disagree about what they say they want the state to do with its power, but they agree that the state should have that power.
That's why I say them both is the same, because they argue for the same things. They do it differently, but it ends up in the same result. They've been playing this game for years. They know what to do. I'm not talking about the state.
But yeah, my theory on the theory who was the shooter's name? Actually, never mind. I think probably the government brainwashed him into hating immigrants. They got to write a manifesto. And then I'm pretty sure they brainwashed him into I don't really know what to say, but nothing about that manifesto made any sense. It was just all over the place, just inconsistent. The shooter's belief was very weird, and yeah.
Well, I think I don't claim I can prove this 100%, but I would agree the narrative that makes the most sense is he was essentially government actors reached out to him, made them believe that they were not government agents, but rather fellow radicals. They trained him, supplied him, put out the manifesto, then assisted him in making sure he was successful. Once the police take him down, the government calls the police and ensures that any of their own operatives are released from custody, and all that evidence is destroyed. And then the media, under government influence, has one unified narrative and makes sure that anything else is silenced.
Yeah, who were all those other people that were on video and are on, pictures with guns around the Christchurch shooting?
And there were, if I'm not mistaken, there were witnesses who claimed there were 3 shooters.
Yes,
but
there were 3 shooters.
There's video of other shooters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we haven't.
But then when
heard
all is said and done,
anything.
suddenly there was only one, and every news media outlet confirms there was only one.
Yeah. And
Whatever happened to those other videos that showed other people?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're all they're censored.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. And also, the funny thing about the Christchurch shooting, the person who stopped the Christchurch shooter was a person who had a gun.
I'm just gonna a little bit off topic because we're getting the end is coming near.
Also,
can we talk about something happy?
Of course, we are down to the last 6 minutes, so we're gonna
just one more thing. If you actually stop the video, like you see his gun on what it says. It says traps are not gay. Yeah,
Okay.
that was fucking weird.
All right, we're down to the last 5 minutes, so we'll
All right.
shift something. Mag says let's end on something happy, so why not? Mag, do you have something in mind?
Nope.
All right, let's see what I can come up with here. Oh, for those of you who saw my Twitter last night, apparently this meme has been going around for a while, so I can't believe I only discovered it yesterday. But
Oh, yeah.
the Pokemon Gumshoes is apparently based on Donald Trump.
Lol.
Oh, that's cool.
No, I've known
Let
that
me
before
look
the
this
game
up.
came out.
All right, Google Gumshoes, Gumshoos, plus Donald Trump, and you'll see a picture of them next to each other. The reason I
Oh.
discovered this is I watched a video. I watched a video called "The Pokemon Teams of the World's Most Famous People," and this YouTuber called True Green, he makes Pokemon videos. Put together a team of 6 Pokemon for Donald Trump, Kim Jong Un, the Queen of England, Ariana Grande, I think Kylie Kardashian, and like a number of other people. It was a hilarious video. But
Oh
Yeah,
my
I
God,
can see
that
that.
sounds the best.
Also, did you guys see the Area 51 memes? There
I
are
saw a couple of them. He's not here tonight, but Night Shift 10,000 shared one that said inside Area 51 are all of Belle Delphine's clones. And it was a picture of just like tons of pictures of Belle Delphine lined up.
Yeah.
Every time I think of Area 51, I always think of the scene of like Stewie and Griffin find out that Lois's father actually didn't die from cancer and he had the cure and whatever not. That's what I always think of.
Okay. Well,
I did have a public school teacher who was like in the military, and I asked him once, did you ever visit Area 51? He said yes. Are there aliens? He said no, but I'm not sure if I believe him.
all right. The government's official narrative of Area 51 is it's a CIA site within an Air Force base there in Nevada, or I think it's Nevada.
Yeah.
But
I can go off. I'm just gonna say this. I can go off like I need to make a video for like how like the government tries to get like young bloods to try going in the military and whatever not. And I've seen so many cases where people go in and they think they're gonna like better their lives and whatever not, and they go in and then they just come out so worse after it. And I it's such a sad sight to see, and no one says anything. It makes me sad. I have a friend that's personally affected by it right now, and it makes me sad for him.
All right. Well, since everyone's saying what they think of when they think of Area 51, for me, it'll always be the scene from Independence Day where Will Smith is dragging an alien body through the desert. And he comes up to Area 51 and introduces himself as a Marine Corps captain. And they tell him, "We're sorry, Captain. You need your clearance." And he's like, "You need clearance?" And he pulls the sheet up and shows him the alien body. He's like, "That's my clearance." And they're like, "Okay, go ahead."
Once the state collapses, I am definitely visiting Area 51.
You know, just for the heck of it, try to discover is the Ark of the Covenant really in a wooden box in there somewhere?
Yeah. If the government is hiding aliens, I mean that's cool.
I mean, when the government collapses, there's a lot of information which is being held from people that's gonna make life a lot more interesting, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
There's probably tons of secrets we don't know about that have
some of them that have been released recently. Just the other day, I was talking about Project M of FDR to a friend of mine at work, and he, of course, he'd never heard about it, but I said, look it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I first heard of Project M because of USO. You brought it up. So basically, FDR was planning to put Jews in labor camps.
Well, essentially, his plan was to breed Jews out of existence. Either relocate them to it was like the Andes in South America, or spread the population out so much that through interbreeding. FDR was a known eugenicist, and he essentially thought the inferior race, what he viewed as the inferior races, could be eliminated not by actually slaughtering them, but by thinning the populations out so that they interbred with superior races, and over time their genes would be so diluted that they'd be gone.
So when are you gonna make your video on Weren't you planning to make a collab video with Postal Cat on these little Neo Genesis?
Yeah, but that's taking a backseat for the essay that I'm currently writing, which the first part may take like another couple of days to get up. But
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
But yeah, I like calling the progressive movement as a, Neo Genesis, and I like calling the modern conservative movement as neo mercantilist. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's 8 o'clock now.
Well, it is.
Oh,
I'll finish that off saying I think if more people would study history, they'd be aghast at how many American politicians spoke favorably about Hitler prior to World War II. Post World
yeah.
War II.
to make that pun.
Yeah, Winston Churchill said some good things about Hitler. FDR, pretty much a lot of politicians said good things about him.
History has been whitewashed to make it look like everybody hated him from the start, but the progressives of the American British politics back then absolutely adored Hitler until after World War II.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They even said good things about Benito Mussolini. A lot of even Stalin. A lot of yeah.
I have to make this comment, and I'm sorry. Two Cents, did you mean to make the comment they'd be gassed?
I said aghast.
Oh, well, still. Oh my god.
All right,
Okay,
I'll have
I'll
to
find that
re-listen to the
comment.
stream later and see what I actually said. If I did
I
say
found
that,
that
I meant
really funny.
aghast.
Eso left.
Anyway.
All right. Well, that is the end of the stream. So thanks everybody for being here. If anybody has any closing statements, by all means, make them now.
Agora, anarchy, action. The 3 A's of agorism.
All right. Well, if anyone, thank you so much for everybody being here. And again, thank you so much for your support of my channel. It would not be possible for me to make the videos that I do without your support. And if anybody else is interested in becoming a patron, I have the links to my Subscribestar, Patreon, and Bitbacker there in the description box. And as always, that is my 2 cents. So take it for what it's worth.